Alright, so in today's lesson we're going to be using this particular table a lot, where at the field house we took down two pieces of information, put it into this table, basically whether you were male or female and whether your favorite sport was basketball, football, or soccer. So the B, F, and S stand for basketball, football, and soccer. And so the first thing we are going to do is we are going to make a marginal distribution, a bar chart of which sport is the best or most popular. So we got 60 people over here, 43 over here, and 67 over here. And one of the things that we like to talk about with these distributions is that the reason why we call them marginal distributions is because they're distributions in the corner. We also could have added going this way, which is 120. This way is 50. So we have 170 people total that we took down the information about. Instead of doing this by total number of people, I am going to do it in percentages because everything compares better with percentages. So this is 55.3%, like the basketball more. 43 out of 170 gives me about 25%. And 67 out of 170 gives me 0.39. And since I went 3 decimal points each time, we got that. So now we're going to make a bar graph. Now at the bottom, we are going to talk about the sport. And then we're going to have percentage of people who like that sport the best. So make sure when you're making a bar graph that you always label both. So we have our basketball, so 10, 20, 30, 40. We have our football, and we have our soccer. So 35%, 25%, and 39.4%. And you can see that soccer and basketball are above football. Soccer is a little bit above basketball. And there we just made our first bar graph. We could do the same thing with the gender one, where this was 71% or 70.6. Try that again. 0.706. And 50 out of 170 is 0.294. So if I was going to make a bar graph, 20, 40, 60, 80, male, female, and that would be gender, because we always label it percent at the gym for this one. And so both of those were what we refer to as marginal, and hey, they're in the margin, so that's why we call them marginal. Alright, for the next one, we're going to do what is considered a side-by-side bar graph to model which sport is popular among which gender. Now, obviously, because basketball had 40, 40, and 40, that would be 40 out of 120 would be 0.333, 0.333, 0.333, and obviously it didn't add up to 1 because there's a little bit of a rounding error. For the females, 20 out of 50 is 0.4, So 40%, 3 out of 50 is 0.06, so 6%, and 27 out of 50 means we got 54%. So we're going to do two things with this piece of information. We are going to make a side-by-side bar graph in order to compare these. And these are called conditional because we know one piece of information. So the information we up here is going to be conditional because we know the gender, and that's what a conditional one does. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and it would be better if I did it on an actual graph. So over here I'm going to have percent of gender who like the sport. Over here I'm going to have the actual sport. So over here I got basketball, football, and soccer. And so let's do up to 33%, 33%, and 33%. Sorry about that, just disappeared on me. And then for the females, we'll do those in green. So we got 40%, 6%, and 54%. So now it's clear that females, a high percentage of females like soccer and basketball better, but not very many females like football at all. And that's the side by side. Alright, the next one is considered a segmented bar graph. And so I've split this up into men and women. And so for basketball, the men went up to 33%, and the women went up to 40%. And I'll put our basketball for blue. Then the men went up another 33%, so that would be at about 66%. And so this is for orange. And I suppose I should color it in a little bit. This is only 6%. And then for soccer, we are using green, and we go up another 33%. It should be all the way up there. And that's for soccer. As you can tell, I'm not the greatest of artists, but you can understand the point that I'm trying to make here. It works a lot better on a graph. So, because all of the graphs that we made, the last two, were different, that means that there is an association between gender and sports. Now, because if I said, if I pick someone out of a group and I find out that I randomly picked a female, I would think, okay, they're probably not going to want to play football. Where if I picked a male out, I would probably say, they're equally likely to play any sport. So there is an association between gender and sports. Now, I'm not going to go too much into this particular one. I'm not going to go through all of this. But if you take a look at this, you notice that the same percentages for A for adults and C for children mean that the segmented bar graph would both look the same. which means that there would be no association between adult or child and sports. Now, if you don't trust me, make the segmented bar graphs or the regular bar graphs on your own between basketball, football, and soccer, and you'll see that they are the same.